Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Melanie. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen today. Today I'm going to be making cake pops. This is my most requested dessert that I make. Doesn't matter where I take them, they're gone in no time. So join me in the kitchen today and I'll show you all the steps you need to make these wonderful cake pops, and then when you get to making them yourself, you can add what you want. Thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and please hit the subscribe button. Let's get cooking. Okay, let's get started making these cakes. I am going to be using 2 boxes of cake mix. You can use any kind you like. I prefer to use whatever kind of cake mix that I use. I like to have an icing that goes with it. So if I'm doing chocolate cake, I like to use chocolate icing. If I'm doing vanilla cake, you can do vanilla icing, you can do chocolate icing. I've done red velvet and cream cheese. I've done strawberry and strawberry. It's your choice. It's whatever your combination is you like. So we're going to start by adding 2 boxes of cake mix to our mixer, and you can use a hand mixer for this. I just happen to have a stand mixer, so we're going to be adding 2 boxes of cake mix. Alright, so let's start making these cakes. We are going to be using 2 boxes of cake mix. Use any kind of cake mix that you like, and get an icing that goes with the type of cake that you get. I usually do chocolate cake with vanilla icing or chocolate cake with chocolate icing. Any combination will work. Just keep in mind whatever kind of cake mix you're getting, get the coordinating icing. Another thing I'd like to note, I follow the directions on the cake mix almost to the T except for my oil. I only use 3/4 cups of oil. My chocolate cake mix calls for a cup for both cakes, and I cut back my oil a little bit so my cake pops aren't so greasy. Because you are going to be adding the frosting to the cake, you don't want those greasy, you don't want a greasy cake. So let's get cooking. I've got 6 eggs I'm going to put in my mixer. Okay, I also got 3/4 cups of oil. And I'm going to go ahead and add a box of cake mix to this so I don't have powder flying everywhere when I cut the machine on. Going to get that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this on low. Let that get going. Then I'm going to go ahead and add about half my water. And on my mixer I add it slowly or it'll come over the side. This is where a hand mixer can be used. You can do it by hand. You're just making 2 cakes. I'm incorporating the water right now. It's a lot of liquid going in. I'm going to go ahead and add about half of my cake mix out of this bag. And I'm going to slowly add in more water. You can see a little bit splashes over the side. And my oven's preheated to 350, as you can hear. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my cake mix to the mixer and add the rest of my water. I do like to end my mixing the cakes with my water. It doesn't leave it as lumpy. It breaks it all up. I think it's a smoother cake mix if you end the cake mix with your water or liquid. You can leave the oil out, but okay, I'm going to get this mixed up and then I'll show you the next step. Alright, we're going to cook these 2 cakes for about 35 minutes on an oven preheated to 350. I'm just going to eyeball how I'm just going to eyeball this. They don't have to be perfect. Like I said, we're going to be crumbling them up, so get it as close as you can so they'll both be done at the same time, but you don't have to make them exact. You just want to get them in there, get them spread out. I always tap my cakes on the counter to get out any air bubbles. But this recipe really, you're going to be crumbling this cake up, so you're not even going to, it's not even going to matter. So we're going to get this in there, and we're going to get these in the oven. Cook them for 35 minutes, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, our cakes have cooked. Now they're cooled, and we're ready to put them in our mixer. You can do this by hand, you can use a hand mixer. I just put it in my KitchenAid, it makes it a little bit easier. But all you want to do is cut up your cake, and you don't have to be precise about it because this is all going to get ground up. You want to put it over in there. We're going to mix all this up, and then we're going to add 1 container of icing. We're going to get both cakes in there and add a container of icing, and I'll show you what it looks like after I get done with that. I did want to take a minute to show you how fine I crumble my cake up. It's almost like sand when I get done running it through the mixer, and then we're going to add the icing to it, but I wanted you to see the consistency that it needs to be able to add the icing to the next step. Okay, I wanted to show you this. This is both boxes of cake mix and 1 container of icing. I did 2 Double Foods chocolate cake mixes and 1 container of chocolate icing. You wanted the consistency of Play-Doh. You want to be able to roll it into a ball and then hold its shape. So now the next step is we're going to roll them all into balls, and we're going to get them in the fridge, and I'll show you that step. Okay, so now we've got our cakes all mixed up. Everything's ready to go. We're going to start making them into balls. I do like using the smaller ice cream scoops. You can just scoop them out by hand if you want. This right here makes them more consistent. They have several sizes of these. This one right here is probably a tablespoon and a half if I had to guess. I know Pampered Chef sells them. I can get them at the cooking supply store. You can get them at Walmart. So it's just whatever size preference. I wouldn't make the cake pops much bigger than an ice cream scoop though, because they're liable to fall apart. They may not hold their shape as good. So I would stick with the smaller size scoops if you can. I wouldn't maybe go like a golf ball size when you're first doing them, but I like to use my ice cream scoops because they are more consistent. So I'm just going to get a couple scooped out, show you how I do them. What I usually do is I usually scoop out a bunch and then I go back and roll them, because your hands do get a little messy. Not real bad, but you do get a little messy. So I've scooped out 5. So now I'm just going to roll them into a ball. And you want to roll them as tight as you can. And there you go. And you want to put them all on a cookie sheet. I do line my cookie sheet with parchment paper. If you stick them in the freezer, especially, if you're putting them in the fridge, you can just put them on straight on the cookie sheet. It won't matter. I'll probably put these in the fridge for at least an hour and a half to let them get really cold and set up. If you're going to put them in the freezer, I'd probably put them in for about 30 to 45 minutes. I have put these in freezer bags before at this point and froze them, and then when I needed them, I just took them out, let them thaw out just a little bit, put my sticks in them and dipped them in chocolate, and they were just as good. So don't worry about that. And our next step, I'm gonna let these go in the refrigerator like I said. Then our next step is gonna be dipping them in chocolate. So I'll be right back. Okay, I got all the cake pops scooped out, and I got them all rolled up into balls, and we ended up with 72 cake pops, which is really good. I went from a small scoop to a medium scoop about halfway through. If I would have stuck with my small scoop, I might have ended up with about 80 of them, but I'm okay with that. We're just gonna eat them here, so I don't need to take them to a family function and have a bunch. So I'm gonna pop these in the refrigerator. Tonight it's about 8 o'clock at night right now, so I'm gonna put these in the refrigerator and let them set overnight, which is not gonna hurt them. Normally I would put them in there for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. In my freezer for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. You just want to set them up and let them get really cold and firm, because when you go to dip them in that chocolate, you want them cold. And if they're in the refrigerator or freezer for a good amount of time and they're really cold all the way through, that chocolate will set up really quick, and that's what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these in the refrigerator, and I'll show you my next step. Okay, our cake pops have been in the refrigerator all night. They're good and firm. So the next thing you want to do once you take them out of the refrigerator, you want to go ahead and melt your chocolate. I'm using almond bark today. You can get it at Walmart or Kroger. You can also use the candy melts. You can get those at Walmart, AC Moore, Michael's, places like that. And those come in different colors. And I believe the chocolate one tastes like a chocolate, but the other colors taste more like a white chocolate. So it's your preference on what you use. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get you some sucker sticks or popsicle sticks, depending on how you want to do them. I get the sucker sticks at Walmart. You can order them at Amazon. You can get them at Michael's, AC Moore, places like that. And you want to go ahead and dip your stick in your chocolate that's been melted. And you want to get a good dollop on there. And you want to stick it in your cake pop. And what I like to do is I like to go through and do all of them. And then we'll go back and we'll dip the cake pops in the chocolate. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I got all my sticks in my cake pops, as you can see. Alright, now we're going to start dipping, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can do these cake pops. One way is to stand them straight up, and my husband made me this board that has holes drilled in it. And another way is to put them in mini cupcake liners. So I'm going to be showing you both ways, and you can figure out which one you like the best. I prefer the cupcake liners because you don't have to let the chocolate drip off of them as much, and you get a little more chocolate on them, so that's kind of like my thing. So we're going to take one, we're going to dip it in the chocolate all the way down to the stick, and we're going to bring it up. Now, if I was putting them in cupcake liners, I would go ahead and do that at this point, but I'm going to show you the flip method. So you want to shake off as much of that chocolate as you can. Just let it drizzle off, and then you're going to turn it up, and you're going to put it, you can use styrofoam, you can use cardboard. Go ahead and pre-poke your holes if you're going to use cardboard. And then if I'm going to use my cupcake liner method, I'm going to go ahead, dip, bring it up, and I'll swirl it around, and I'll stick it in my cupcake liner. Just like that. I'll go ahead and do another one for you. So this will be for the standing them up. If you stand them up, they're easier to package for like birthday parties, if you're going to give them out as treats, or to display them on a, if you can get a pretty display board and go ahead and put your holes in it. And at this point, while the chocolate is still wet, you can go ahead and put your sprinkles on there, because you don't want to wait too long, because once the chocolate sets up, nothing will stick to it. But this is the way that I do my cake pops. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the subscribe button, and please ask me any questions you have in the comments below, and I'll get back with you. Have a great day.